Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Wray's Garage. As you may have figured out, we are in the midst of a JRZ strut suspension exchange on the Spider here. Not that there's much of it there. So I'm going to show you, possibly in two parts, probably a disassembly and reassembly, what I have discovered from over here, and hopefully there's enough light for you to see, forgive the movement, is all the moving parts of a suspension, which I've never seen before. So some of this may be rudimentary for some of you that are expert in the geometry and suspensions in general. This is more geared towards those folks that have never done it and thought about doing it. And I won't lie, I have considered backing away from this, but this is doable. It's just like anything else. There's a steeper learning curve, and some of these bolts really throw you off. So look at that. One of the tools you will get to meet in this project is likely a pickle fork. Pickle forks do not do good things to bushings. So if you like your bushings, don't mess with the pickle fork. Find a bushing extractor or something a little bit more sympathetic to their preservation. At the same time, I'm not worried about that, just because it turns out that it was probably about time to replace some of these elements anyway. Yeah, so I changed my mind. Because I have to take this lower control arm off anyway, I'm gonna remove this supporting arm back here, and then we'll loosen this up back here, and yeah, we'll see if we can free this bad boy up. All right, we have an 18. See if the ratchet will blow it open. So I'm not sure how well you can see back in there at all, but right here on the back of the car, it's a 19 mil bolt head with a camber eccentric bolt piece on it. And the other side is 18 mils, and that's the screw end, which also has an eccentric washer attached to it. And you want to make sure the washer separates from the nut, because if not, you will spend 4 hours hammering it out, and I'll post a picture of the fiasco that went on when I did that, not realizing it. So be careful that you're threading from the bolt end, which is the front, towards the front of the car on the rear axle, and then hold this one as steady as you can. You also want to mark where the bolt is aligned here as far as your camber adjustment for when you put it back in, so you can get it as close to aligned to that as possible on both the washer and the bolt side when you get your offset bolt put back in there. So I'm going to mark that off here in a second before I start losing my place. Not again. So if you screw this up too far, you get your box end stuck in there. So yeah, not real smart. Come on, D-Ray. There we go. So everything is loose. There's a bolt back there, there at the car connecting end of the lower control arm. I've got to free up. Just free up the bolts at the top up here, up there, and let's see if we can pull this thing down. So I'm going into doomsday mode down here. I've released that screw up top. This is the outside of the lower control arm. And over here, I don't want to use the pickle fork because I don't want to buy a new one of these because this bushing looks fine. But down here it's scorched earth anyway, so I'm not going to give myself a hard time getting it out gently when I don't think I need to. Ta-da! One down. And I don't know if you can make it out on the camera here, but we got some boot damage. And with the boot damage, when they get torn like that, they're going to take on debris, quickly ruin the bearing, which is not in terrible shape, quite honestly. And then from there, you kind of scuppered. Don't be another 4-hour bolt. Jeez. And control arm release. Yes. Gotcha. All right. We are slowly forging ahead. Got to get that guy out. Once that is out, we can go up top here, loosen the suspension, and then we're just going to be careful because obviously the spindle is back here that's tying into the transmission. And we don't want to jack with that. There is another way to do this that I've seen, and if you have the large socket to take the hub off, man, your life can get somewhat easier. But remember, you've still got your handbrake line here, which is going to still impair your movement. So I don't see a huge advantage, at least in the rear. So yeah, let me move the jack around, hammer on this a little bit more, and see if it'll release for us. So these up here are 13 millimeters. And the biggest trick with these guys is making sure they don't run away from you, because there's lots of places they can fall. So just get your fingers at the ready. I think she's coming. Woo, yeah. Come on. let go. Should have put some tape on here. I greased it!
Did it work?
You know it did. Alright.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Alright, we gotta get the spring off of here now. Off of here. Because we're gonna reuse this top hat. And I should be able to clean that up. I don't think I did any permanent damage up there. Although I'm sure it doesn't look great. So let's put these spring compressors on. I'll show you how to do that. Safety first. Goggles and all. It's a McPherson strut. Or McPherson. I don't know how you say it. Put one on this side. Lock those in. On this side. Lock those in. This is 22 millimeters socket. If you can see that. Let's check. Mostly. Whoop. And try and do it fairly evenly on both sides. And then just keep ratcheting down until you feel a top hat not have pressure on it. Alright, so now see how the springs, oh, I'm destroying that now, run freely. Now we can go at this, which has a hex in the top. Alright, so now it's free spinning. So we need to get a 22 and a hex to hold it in the middle. Millimeter hex. Alright, so 22 mil here, 7 mil hex here. Alrighty. Oh, that sucked. Look at that. Yeah. Touch up. What a spaz. Use a bench, Wray. What is wrong with you? Well, that's what you get, people. Don't rush. Takes your times. Oh, naughty words. Yeah, that's a good old cut right there. Smart, D-Ray. Real smart. Wrong way. There goes the spring. All right, we're at the front now. Gonna see if we can make any lighter work of this. Slightly different setup. You don't have to deal with the spindle, but we'll see what happens. So on the front, one of the differences is this collar that the OEM strut sits on. Be smarter this time and got my zip ties ready. Alright, so over here I've got the knuckle jacked up, and I'm going to take these 13mm bolts out, and I did mark full circles around their location, so if it's appropriate to put them back there, I know at least where they came from. So, I'm embarrassed to admit it, over 40 years of age, just had my first trip to Harbor Freight because I need a ball joint separator, and this was the only one I could find readily in town. And I'm wondering if I should have had this a few days ago, but instead of trying to wreck another control arm, I thought I would see if all the miracle talk is true about these guys. So let's give it a whirl here. All right, get in there. That's better. Alright, so if the calculations are correct, we are locked onto the rod there and not in a destructive place for the boot under there. Let's see how big this is though. Oh, 19, perfect. Get us a little socket here. Let's go to town and watch the magic happen. At least I hope. If this goes according to plan, this will pop right off. Don't mind putting my gloves on now, but oh, come on, get out. Well, we're out, but put the glove on the wrong hand, dummy. Well, control arm's in good shape. The boot's in good shape. Just gotta get that clear. We'll drop this out here. out of the way. And just like that, we got a knuckle and a strut in hand. And managed to not, I think, destroy this perfectly working control arm. Ta-da! We'll get the spring off like we did on the other one. Instead of the new guy. We'll be off to reassembly land. Thanks for checking, everyone. Be memorable. Be well. We'll catch you on the assembly one very shortly when we'll be throwing in the JRZ RS2s.